Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is another Sunday, and it's a beautiful one at that. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing excellent, at least as excellent as I am. It is February 14th, and hello and welcome to the new first period. February 14th is Valentine's Day, which means I hope that you have someone to call dear. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but in any case, we've got each other. So, interesting situations going on all across the world of Smite. Not only is there team changes in the way that we're used to, in the sense of people being out there and being scooped up, but there's also team changes in the way that we are not used to as well, which is a little bit interesting. Some of our good friends are leaving the professional Smite scene. We heard Frezzy was thinking about it. Well, some people are actually doing it, which is it's definitely an interesting thing to really start thinking about people retiring from Smite. I mean, it's a little crazy. We've got a retirement to speak about. We've got European relegation started yesterday. North Americans continue today. And we'll talk a little bit about how Europe went down yesterday. Who was there? More importantly, who wasn't? Because there were certainly some teams that didn't show up. I don't know about that. We'll talk a little bit about who's a free agent and who's not. And what's going on in the world of free agency and who's around and who wants to find a team and who certainly doesn't want to find a team and all of that stuff. But I guess the first place to really start off is, well, Valentine's Day. If you want to get me something, you certainly can. No, I'm messing around. Hello, all of you friends out there. I see you, Kakashin and Renz and Omri, and we got KSP in the house, longtime first period audience member. I wish I had a live studio audience. KSP would have front row seats. Super McWubdub, I can be your Valentine. I don't know if I will. It depends on just how generous you are. I'm not a chocolate man, so I don't know. You got to get creative. Flowers and chocolate just won't do it for me. What's with the new camera angle? I decided to switch things up a little bit. I'm really not a fan of the whoa. JBob957, thank you for two things. One, for reminding me that I don't have the setup for the subs on the new layout. But I appreciate the love. And two, thank you for the sub. Welcome to the crew. We're back. And yes, new layout, new everything. I have a really professional setup with the camera. It's actually, well, it's held up by fucking duct tape. But, everything for the show. So, you know what it is. All right, now, I said I wasn't a chocolate guy, but a chocolate statue of chalk with my face on it. Now, that sounds interesting. Let's discuss the whiteboarded mountain. Oh, the whiteboarded one? That might be from Revised, honestly. That's a blackboarded mountain. I'm just saying. Yeah, all of those are blackboarded. So I don't know what y'all are talking about. Do I miss making out of combat with Kelly? I certainly do. I really do. I definitely do miss Kelly and Bart and everything. Last night actually was one of the more interesting things in sports. So I actually, you know what? I don't have this in my show notes. I have very weak show notes today, and usually I pride myself on having good show notes. I'll you know what? I'll give you guys a little bit of insight into the world of first period and how I do things. But so last night, all of the info came sort of like last minute, right? But generally, I have a couple of things going on. So I always keep a run. Oh, this is a look at Ban Zeus from September 9th, 2014. But normally I have like a bunch of notes. This is not at all what my show notes look like. This is what they looked like 2 years ago. And we've grown since then. But essentially, this is generally what my show notes look like. I'll have, relevant links or whatnot, and that's generally how I'll do my show notes. Today, my notes are a little thin, but the show certainly isn't. But so, like I was saying, I wanted to actually show you. These are my notes for today. We'll be going over these. Pretty much these 5 things or whatever the fuck, but something that isn't included that I'm going to toss right in here because it was just that much fun, and I'm a format whore, so everything must be in its proper place. But NBA All-Star Weekend, we will definitely be talking about the NBA All-Star Weekend because it was a lot of fun, and I think that esports can learn a little bit about that. I should change the chat to the other side. I should. So, nothing is final. This is... We're working on it. We're working on it. So, we'll figure out just exactly how to make everything work out perfectly. Of course, we're going to talk about Valentine's Day. Fisk, you're here. Good morning, RP Silk. How's everybody doing? Well... So, as I said, yesterday was the beginning of relegations. It was Europe first, though, so that's actually that's the first thing to really mention is that traditionally, since the dawn of time, if we go back to Path to 100K, if we go all the way back to the Path to 100K, we're looking at a world where Smite generally North America happens on a Saturday and Europe happens on a Sunday. And this is how we've done it pretty much forever. By the way, I'm talking about the Path to 100K, and if you guys want a blast from the past, here is a Reddit thread put up by APC about the placement of your Path to 100K. Week 4 of 8, Cognitive Gaming. This was what would be Cloud9, which we'll talk a little bit about today. Team Dignitas was largely eager. Snipe is the world of Allied and Xing. What a world that we live in, huh? But, so that's the first thing. The first plan of events, I guess, to mention is that, well, Europe and North America has changed. I don't really think... So a lot of people a lot of people mention how there is a bias towards North America or whatnot, and that's just very silly. I can say that from working inside the studio and even from working outside the studio and having a little bit of common sense. Obviously, there is no we like North America, so we're going to broadcast some more. We live in North America, so it just makes sense for things to be North American based. And one of the cool things is that the world of Smite will be expanding a little bit into the world of Europe. If you guys didn't see the most recent announcement, there was an announcement that some woman was hired for the European office, which I guess the thing to take out of that is European office, right? That's certainly a very big thing in the world of Smite. It's going to be Veronique Lalire. She will be the individual to join the squad, and everybody can, welcome her with open arms over here. She's joining hi-rez from Warner. She is a very qualified individual. And we'll take a look at my beautiful, quick internet. But essentially, she will be joining the squad from Warner. She's going to be the VP based of European publishing. So, the majority of stuff is still going to happen in Atlanta. That's where the game is developed. That's where everything really happens. But taking a step into Europe is a really big step, especially if you ask some of our European fans. And then Todd Harris had this to say about her. Fueled by the constant rapid growth of Smite, our European community has expanded tremendously over the past year. hi-rez prides itself in being a highly community-oriented company. I'm pretty much proof of that. And this move will allow us to much better serve our European players across Smite as well as other games. And a little bit of background onto Veronique Lalier. She was named MCV's top 100 women in games last year, and she's been through a couple of different companies, Ubisoft and NCSoft. So she definitely knows a little bit about the world of gaming and what it entails. So she'll be stepping into the shoes of our European office, which is definitely pretty sweet, which should be exciting. Because a lot of people, as I said, we're talking about the lack of European content or whatnot, and we'll see how this really impacts things. Obviously, it's only going to impact things in a good way. And I can tell you that I can't tell you that there will be fun stuff. Stu tweeted earlier, not today, but earlier in the week, that there would be fun stuff to be thinking about when it comes to Europe. So definitely something to pay attention to. But in any event, Europe now takes place on Saturday. North America takes place on Sunday. And here's the thought process. There's a lot of, we want to start the broadcast at the same time, and it's really late in Europe. So if you have that tournament on a Sunday, nobody can stay up late because they got to go to work or school on Monday, right? So we switch things up on Saturday. I hope everybody likes that idea. You know, I think that puts everybody on the same page. Yes, TL, I wish we could send Hindu Man back, but unfortunately we can't. Also, shouts to Hindu Man. Hindu Man, actually, last night there was a fire at his house. He is totally okay. I don't want to cause any alarm. Hindu Man is totally feeling fine, as you can see from this picture right here. He's feeling Gucci, but I don't know how close you can zoom in on this finger. There was a fire. He tried to put it out. This picture is probably too nasty for me to put on my screen. But if you check out Hindu Man's Twitter, you can find some more pictures of how hurt he got. But yeah, there was a fire in his house, and he put it out. It was so fantastic. He had a literal barn burner, and he will still be showing up to commentate today, which is excellent. I told him he could stay home, and Kevin told him he could stay home, but Hindu Man will still be showing up to cast despite our pleas of take care of yourself. But he's okay, and everything is all well and good. I could probably do that. Let's see. Let's see. We'll do some on the fly. Let's look at this. Boom. All right, you ready? And then we'll do this. Nope. We'll do it. Nope. That's not a screen. All right, we'll do this. Nope. That doesn't. Nope. Where are we? Here we go. There we go. Zoop. Look at that. You guys like so I made this box. You guys like my beautiful, I'm a graphic designer. If you guys want Twitch emotes, I could make you a box. And I'll charge you for a box. So we'll see. Here, you know what? Can we put it here? Is this obnoxious? I don't know. The layout is yet to be finished, so we will finish things in a little bit. So we're shopping around. I've got a bunch of ideas. This year is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some newer content. We're going to beautify some of the old content. This year is going to be a big year for the old creativity world of Smite. But so why don't we get into the news, to quote my man Keemstar. So we've got European relegations. If you guys are unfamiliar with how relegations are really happening, basically what relegations are is the ability for teams to come into the SPL. As I said, Saturday is Europe and North America will be Sunday. And essentially what we're looking at is there are multiple phases of relegations, and just going over them really briefly. Phase 1 is an open bracket qualifier. Anyone and everyone can sign up. You and your 4 buddies can get together and make a team called the Five Angry Hindus. It's actually happened in the past. Or, your mom can get together with 4 of her PTA friends and, make the Mineola American Smite team if they so feel fit. They'll probably get beat because there's a number of pros and semi-pros going out there. Some notable teams that we saw yesterday in phase 1 of the qualifiers was a team called Pistris, which was led by Durgius. If you remember Durgius, he is a support player that has always been on the cusp of pro and semi-pro, and he made himself known yesterday, but unfortunately he got stomped out by the likes of Badge's team, known as the Leftovers. Badge's team was one of the first to really be announced during Roster Apocalypse, as he was booted, as I was corrected. He was kicked off of Fnatic. So he had to make a team of his own, and Badger got together with a man named Arkle. Nika, if you're familiar with him, he was highlighted during the Combine, and a couple of other players he combined to do pretty well in the open bracket tournament. As we said, the upper bracket was generally kind of handled by the Leftovers, and then the bottom bracket was an interesting battle between 2 teams, specifically in the semifinals, called Envo Clan, and it was Envo Clan and Epiphany Bolt. Both of these teams looked really strong, but Epiphany Bolt was the ones that ultimately made it out to the finals. And, well, they got 2-0'd. Leftovers looked really strong. Notably missing from the tournament. And Just Jack is in the chat. Just Jack was actually one of the notable players for the tournament. A mid player, captain of his own squad, and a scary one at that. So if you guys are watching worth noting that there's 2 weeks of open bracket tournaments, which means the teams that did not win this week can go on and try again next week. And again, just to break down the way qualifiers works, we have 2 weeks of open bracket tournament. Anybody can sign up. The winners of these will have 2 winners per region. Let's just pretend there's 1 region. There are 2 winners per region, and those 2 winners play against the top tier Challenger Cup teams, and then the winners of those play against the SPL teams to eventually make a spot into the SPL. So teams will have another shot tomorrow or next week to figure out if they can make it. So I'm sure Just Jack will make a showing. I'm sure his team will show up one more time. They played very, very well. Although I'm just interested in who was missing yesterday. That's really my question. Hungry for More did not play. Now that, I think, is, surprising is probably being nice about it. I was just, why wasn't Hungry for More there? I don't understand. So Hungry for More is the new team coming out of the guys from Titan. It's Variety, Captain Twig, Pretty Prime, Ataraxia, and Zindern. Now, here's my situation. It's the guys from Titan, which Titan doesn't exist anymore. Unfortunately, rest in peace, Titan. They didn't drop their Smite team. The company doesn't exist, which kind of sucks. So if we take a look at the guys on Titan, right? Repicas has joined what used to be London Conspiracy and is now called Cringe Crew. Kanye Life is now Murder and has also joined a team. He'll be on Torpedo Gaming. We'll find out more about him in Phase 2 of Relegations. Torpedo is actually one of the top-tier Challenger Cup teams that these open bracket teams will have to face up against. So, Repicas, gone. Kanye Life, gone. Pretty Prime and Ataraxia are on this team. But what the hell is Brodus doing? That's really the question. So, if Brodus finds a way on this team, then they get the spot. They get the SPL spot. If Brodus does not find a way on this team, well, then that's an issue because the team would have to play through relegation. So basically, there's a conversation going on here. And to be fair, I don't think it's as black and white. So if Brodus is on the team, then this Hungry for More squad gets a automatic bid into the SPL because Ataraxia owns the Titan spot as captain. But if and yes, a sub can count. But if Brodus is officially the sub, well, there you go. There's no questioning about it then. And that's that. I actually thought, I didn't know Brodus was officially the substitute, so knowing Nate, or rather Ataraxia, and how he works, I could see Ataraxia saying, "Oh, I want to spend the first split or in the Challenger Cup to sort of get better as a squad." I could definitely see that as something that Ataraxia would do. But if Brodus truly is the sub on this Hungry for More team, then, well, there should be a walk into the SPL. So that shouldn't be a problem, and that is probably the reason why we don't see them. Why we don't see Hungry for More showing up yesterday. Leftovers kind of just sort of did it. You know what I'm saying? I wonder, do I still have access to the brackets from yesterday? Because yesterday was, as I said, it was kind of fun. We got to see a couple of teams that we knew, a couple of teams that we didn't know. But ultimately, the win did go to Badge's team, the Leftovers. Zinder, and I saw you were asking in chat. But, so, I guess we'll see if everybody shows up for tomorrow. But today is about the North American side. And we have a lot of interesting teams, I guess, coming out for the North American side. So, and the last night there was a big shakeup. So we'll go into a little bit of detail about who, what, when, where, why, and how about those teams. But so North America, we've got Team Flex likely signing up for the tournament today. We've got Problem Solved, which is Meerkat, Homofe, Harwind, Jigs, and Matt Yankee. Although there's been a change, Meerkat out for Baskin. And Team Flex is still Laz's, Matty Pocket, Oceans, Dare to Care, and Incon. So we'll see those guys likely play today. Relegation start a little bit earlier, but we'll be broadcasting starting at the round of 16. You can catch, or wherever we're at 1 p.m. So twitch.tv/Smite Game at 1 p.m. is where you'll be able to catch all the action. Where are we? Here we are. Yeah, so the tournament actually starts at 11:15, but we'll be broadcasting at 1 p.m. And we'll same time for both Europe and North America, and we'll just sort of keep on keeping on. Hey, shouts to the sub, Omegeddon, thank you so much. Again, I gotta switch scenes to see who actually subbed because we're we're brand new to this new setup, but we're getting there. So North America starts today, 11:15. If you guys want to play in this, as I said, this is an open bracket tournament. Check-ins start at 10 a.m. You want to know how you check into this? You want to know how you check in? You download TeamSpeak 3. You literally, here, I'll walk you through it. TeamSpeak 3 download. You type this into your computer. You click on TeamSpeak 3, and you download this freaking program. Preferably not on your phone, but on your computer. This is the one that goes on your computer. And you download that. And then from there, you can pretty much just figure out, okay, this is where I have to go. There's no password. And look, we even give you a damn download link to TeamSpeak. You could just click this. Talk about making it easy. You and your friends can sign up, and anybody can sign up. You're going to have to face Laz's and Dare to Care, and you're going to have to run into Baskin and Jigs. But it's all for the love of the game, right? It's all for the love of the game. So you can check that out at 1 p.m. today. We'll be going live. I will be casting alongside, well, Dan Brannon, Hindu Man, and what's his name? Adonis. So Lazarus plays more Overwatch than Smite. I don't know if that's true. Dare to Care, his teammate says that that's not true. Keep in mind, streamers, and I use that word intentionally, streamers have a big life outside of what they stream. So, and also not for nothing, but, I just want to latch onto that real quick. it is advantageous to playing Smite 24/7, or not necessarily Smite, but playing whatever it is that you're, whether it's a sport or a StarCraft or a Smite, playing 24/7 isn't necessarily the best way to be the best player. It's different for everybody. Boosh famously doesn't play a lot of Smite, but then comes in and destroys things, and there's also something to be said about the difference between solo queue ranked, or solo queue casuals even, and a team environment scrim situation. I know a lot of players that just like to play scrims, and they don't really like to play solo queue or anything like that, and that's totally fine. Solo queue is good for keeping your mechanics up, but it doesn't necessarily make you a good player. And so it's sometimes it's just about keeping your team together and your team synergy. Somebody in the chat says that lads want to go competitive Overwatch. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Pretty sweet. I will tell you that playing one game competitive is incredibly difficult, let alone two. So, North America today, as I said, we're going to see a couple of new teams. We will likely see the two teams that I mentioned. I am curious if we will see the new Cloud9, actually. Technically, I guess they have a spot because there's 3 players, so I wouldn't think so, but who knows? Who knows? So who do you guys think is going to take? I mean, there's going to be a whole lot of teams. Some we know, some we don't. But looking at problem solved in Team Flex, who do you think winds up on top today if that's our finals? And that's a big if. Who knows? Maybe they're in the same bracket. Maybe they're not. Maybe some other team comes out on top. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Meerkat has 5 people and just destroys everybody. Who knows? But who do you think we are going to see on top is what I'm going to ask the chat right now. So we'll think a little bit about the North American games. And honestly, I just looking at the roster, I'll give you my 2 cents as well. If I'm asking you, I might as well ask myself. I think problem solved is easy peasy. Maybe not so easy peasy. I think I'm underestimating. I think I'm understating Team Flex a little bit. They're definitely going to be a strong team. In fact, I recant my easy peasy statement completely. But I think problem solved is just as strong as Team Flex, especially with the recent change, which I'll go into. Baskin has joined the team in the solo lane, kicking Meerkat out, which is unfortunate. I was really rooting for Meerkat this season. But I think that with the recent change to Baskin in the solo lane, that problem solved will be the ones on top today. But I'm not writing Team Flex out of it. As I said, I'm not going to shy away from a prediction, and I do think that it's problem solves week to win. But Team Flex is certainly a strong team, so I won't be floored if Team Flex manages to bring home the win. It is a team with Laz's, Incon, and Dare to Care, right? Like, they're not a slack-jaw team. So I'm, at the very least, excited to watch what's going on. So biggest news, I suppose, absolute biggest news, I suppose, of the week or the weekend, is our team changes. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit about the NBA All-Star Game, which is something that I absolutely love. But let's talk All-Star Weekend, because that is really what I think has some connection to the world of esports. So the NBA All-Star Weekend is actually really exciting. And esports generally don't. I mean, League of Legends has an All-Star Game, and it is strange. Let's see, League of Legends All-Stars. They have an All-Star Game. Where is it this year? Does it rotate? I believe it rotates. But But their all-star situation, the international wild card teams come in to the all-star event, and you got NALCS, EULCS, and a couple of the international regions as well. They all show up and they have a good time. But the way the NBA does it, it's very interesting. The NBA they have an actual game, right, where the all-stars that the fans vote in go and they play the game of basketball against each other. And it's less a fierce game of basketball and more who can have a crazy dunk or a crazy pass, and it's a lot of fun. Then there is a skills competition where the guys that shoot 3 points from 80 miles away shoot 3-pointers from 80 miles away, and whoever gets the most points wins. And then there's the slam dunk contest, which everybody knows about. That was last night, and honestly, it was a lot of fun. It was one of the better slam dunk contests in a while. But moving away from the specifics, they also have, as I said, they have a skills competition where there's a passing contest where you got to pass the ball into this little tiny hole. In any event, the NBA All-Star event is this big celebration. Bart's there, and I'm eternally jealous. But it's this big celebration of the game. Fans get to come out and see their favorite players. The worlds of basketball, the finals, the NBA finals, there's home court advantage, or there's home courts in basketball. So both teams get to play at their own home stadium for the finals. So some of the smaller market teams, for example, Toronto, that's where the All-Star game is this year. Toronto is probably not winning the NBA Finals or getting to the NBA Finals anytime soon. So what the All-Star game does is it rotates into different cities, which is awesome. Does this sound like a good plan for any other game anybody knows? I've discussed on my show before and elsewhere that I actually really like the idea of Worlds being in Atlanta every year. There's something important to me when it comes to hometown and nurturing the world that Smite has generally created for itself, right? By having the event in Atlanta proper, you get to have all of these developers show up, all the artists show up, people that everybody cares about Smite and the game inside the studio, but does everybody in the studio care about Smite enough to fly to Europe to catch Worlds? Probably not. Now, the other side of that argument is, well, how can you ask fans to do that? Well, fans and the workers are different, and I think it's important for the people that make the game to be around it. And I thought it was very exciting when I went to launch tournament and Worlds 1. I thought it was very exciting for me to be able to meet Anna and Kayla, the people that make the card art or the promotional art, right? It was very cool for me to meet Thomas Holt, who's a good friend of mine now, Loki Diego on Twitter, who designs the maps. That's really fun. That's really exciting. So I think that's important. But by having the ability to have an all-star event, right? Now you have this event that could be international or whatnot. And last year, we used the in-house studio that Smite has made. We have used the in-house studio that Smite has made for pretty much all of the events, whether it's the spring finals, the summer finals, or the super regionals or the spring right? And that's a matter of money, and that's kind of how it should be and has to be. But I would absolutely love it if there was a Smite. This is not a hi-rez stream, Hunson. This is my stream. Thank you very much. I think it would be very interesting if there was a Smite all-star event that was international. I think that is how you appease. Appease sounds like such a patronizing word, and I don't mean to patronize the people. So I disagree with that, Tukey Troll. Tukey Troll says the game is made for the players, not the dev, which is true. I don't disagree with that. So rewarding players by bringing Worlds into the EU would be more business savvy. That is incorrect. Business savvy when it comes, I mean, you guys don't know the numbers behind the scenes, and I'm not really here to divulge those, and I don't really even know all of them. I know some of them, but essentially, I wasn't saying keep the finals in Atlanta so that the devs can go, so the devs can have a good time. I was saying keep the finals in Atlanta because the people that are going to go to Worlds are going to go to Worlds, and it's a more valuable and meaningful experience if the creators of the game are easily accessible, right? Because the SWC is as much a celebration of the game itself as they are a celebration of the SPL. This year was more esport oriented, but SWC number one was pretty much 50-50 of people that I spoke to that were, oh my God, go Titan. I can't wait to see the SPL teams. I'm a big Lazarus fan. Equal parts that, and equal parts, I don't really know the teams here, but I really like Assault. I'm cosplaying as Bacchus, and go Kukulkan, right? There is just as many fans of the game than there are fans of the SPL. So having that community situation is definitely a positive. But like I said, just because Worlds, or at least, and again, I don't make the rules or these decisions, but in my world, SWC stays in Atlanta. And that doesn't mean that other events can't happen elsewhere. And as I brought up the NBA All-Star Weekend, I think that a real celebration of the game or a celebration of the esport works out real well in that regard. Because as the NBA does it, you can rotate your event throughout the world, right? You can have the All-Star Weekend in San Francisco and get to hang out with all the Twitch people. You can have your international event in the UK, and I don't know what's in the UK, Fnatic. You can go to Sweden and say hi to Zimstar, right? You can even go to Australia, a region that feels like they're sort of out of the loop, and that's very exciting. And that's very interesting, and I love the idea of being able to bring the game across the world, but keep our finals in Atlanta. So I like the idea, and I would love to see, as Smite grows, something like that. And I think it could be a lot of fun, right? You have an international. You have a couple of different ways to do all-star matches, right? You have your international teams where everybody votes on their favorite players for NA, EU, and maybe you expand it, Oceanic League, Asia, right? And then you have your kickball style game where 2 captains are voted on, and those captains pick 4 players or 5 if they don't want to play for them, right? And then you have there. And then you have 1v1 on her joust, which Omega will win. And then you have 3v3s. And you can have so many fun things to do. Remember the spring fling? We did stuff outside of game. Like Kelly hosted What's in My Box. And we had an egg toss and pies in the face. Right? Like there's so much content. There's so many things to do that I think that there is totally a market for being able to pull off, 1, an all-star event that's just sort of fun and games, and 2, I think it'd be an exciting situation to see. I think it'd be a good excuse is the wrong word, but I think it'd be a good excuse to bring the game across the world or whatnot. So can we have EU regionals in EU? So again, when it comes to the what's it called? The lands being in North America, that's a money thing. At least to my knowledge, it makes a lot of sense. Without I'm not in sales, I'm not in money side of hi-rez, but just using my own 2 cents from the outside looking in, just like you guys. They built a studio. Why would they not use the studio? It's just fiscally irresponsible to build a soundstage and then say, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just not use it. I know we have this sound stage with 2 sets and an arena and a place for seating for friends and family with a technical setup and internet changes and everything we need for a broadcast. But you know what would be a good idea? Spending tens of thousands of dollars to do it all internationally with less equipment in a place that we are unfamiliar with, despite the fact that we've spent tons of money on our own studio. Thank you, DJ Pernicus. I have used my blinds correctly. If you guys missed last week's episode, my blinds were incorrectly set up. So DJ has corrected me. So Eppenderry. You think that shit's free? And that's not how that works. Hi-Rez always does its own production. It's just a matter of what kind of tools they have at their disposal. So, this year, however, as I said, Hi-Rez has expanded to Europe. There is a European studio open with a wonderful tenured woman that has been around the game industry, both Ubisoft and Csoft. She's done work in different places. Now she's going to be joining the Hi-Rez squad in our very own European office. And they tweeted that there was going to be some. Stu also hinted at some European stuff. I actually know. DJ asked, don't I think it would help the game if Hi-Rez allowed other people to host tournaments in Smite, like CSGO does? Anybody can host a tournament in Smite. Hi-Rez doesn't screw over the EU community like that, Roby Dog, and I think that's a very uninformed opinion. But yeah, I mean, Hi-Rez doesn't anybody can throw a tournament, DJ. I don't know what you're getting at. There is no rule saying you're not allowed to throw a tournament. Nothing at all, actually. Smite Central used to run weekly tournaments. I don't think they do anymore. Tier Monster used to run weekly tournaments. I don't think they do anymore. Well, you've heard me correctly. I mean, I just there's always been an encouragement actually for the community to get up and make tournaments. There are certain requirements that have to be met as far as what the broadcast looks like, if you have casters, how many teams show up or whatnot. But Hi-Rez actually will provide prizing. Hi-Rez will actually provide prizing for those tournaments. I mean, the difference between a LAN and online tournament is, localization. Just the people have to actually show up. Yeah, so Hi-Rez will actually provide prizing, usually by way of gems. When Hi-Rez isn't going to give money out to individual tournaments, but gem prizing is available for tournaments that actually can reach a certain level of productivity and a certain level of production value, I guess you could say. But don't chase that away. I mean, if you cast your 3v3 tournament and 100 people show up and you have 2 casters, I mean, send Hinduman an email. He might not be able to type; his hands are burned, but. The SPL schedule screws up making tournaments a little bit. I don't know. A little bit. So just to wrap up my All-Star event, I think there's a lot of fun to be had in Smite, and I think that I think that there could be an international sort of travel around the world event in the world of All-Star. But I like pageantry. I like giving it to the fans and stuff like that. I understand that. I understand that. I mean, it's never been a thing. Like, I don't know. Lack of. It's just has MLG hosted a lot of Xbox stuff. A lot of Xbox stuff. I mean, I don't know the situation, but I doubt that there would be a turn away. If ESL was like, hey, we want to have Smite at Katowice, I doubt that the answer would be no. I'm not the guy that makes that decision, and if that has already been made and secretly that I don't, DJ, well, I don't fucking know. But I imagine that would be a good choice. And I couldn't imagine that, that Smite would turn a company like that away. So that seems strange. Moving on into the roster world. Retirement. Yes, retirement has been mentioned by one of the bigger names in Smite. Allied, who's been here pretty much forever, is going to be retiring from competitive Smite. Now, if you know Allied, this isn't the world's biggest surprise. Allied has discussed, Allied has discussed before about, how he feels one way or the other about Pro Smite. It's no secret, I would say. I would say it's an open secret, I guess, in the Smite community that Allied. So let me just get this straight. Allied wasn't playing poorly because he was done with Smite or disinterested, or he wasn't practicing less because he didn't care. His heart wasn't not in it. He just wanted to hang it up. So unfortunately for all the fans of Allied, he's not going to be around anymore. Immediately taking effect immediately, his spot will be taken over by MLC Stealth. And we'll get into the ripple effects of all that stuff. So, Allied no longer playing Smite. It's interesting. Allied has a shit ton of Twitch viewers. I don't know how many subs he has or anything, but I mean, realistically, 1,000 subs is sustainable depending on where you live. I mean, you figure 1,000 subs, you get half of that, right, or some shit, right? So, I mean, Allied could just be a streamer, and I wish him luck in doing that. I don't know if he's got additional plans. If he wants to be a coach, doesn't sound like it. I don't know if he wants to be a caster, doesn't sound like it. I think he just wants to be, what's it called? A streamer or whatnot. Allied's trying to get to 500 subs right now. So we'll see how all that works. And I wish Allied the best of luck in what he does. If he is streaming professionally or if he has something else lined up, I don't know. I actually asked Allied for a quote last night, but it was literally last night. So I don't know, if he was available or whatnot. So I'm not going to take it as, there's no comment, oh my God. But so his teammates had only good things to really say about him. I will take a look at what Weekend said today or yesterday. Allied's the reason I'm in competitive and I've had the opportunities I have today. Rough, but he is excited to play with MLC Stealth. And that's Weekend jungler for Envy. So Allied has been a part of that team for a long time, and that's going to be my official professional answer. So we'll see what direction that Allied decides to go from there. And people will always shit talk Weekend and say he's a backstabber or whatnot. This wasn't even Weekend's decision. This was Allied's decision. And as I said, as a member of the scene, I mean, it's something that it's nobody that knows Allied or has been a part of the competitive scene was, what? Allied's retiring? What? Nobody was sitting there like that. A lot of people were just like, oh, that's a shame because everybody likes Allied. Allied's one of those players that, and I like the pro scene in reality when it comes time to when it's LAN time, when people are actually hanging out and there's no cameras or there's no nonsense going on with the public eyes. Everybody is generally cordial for the most part, right? You see Pain to Beyond, right? And how he is on stage and he's just as confident, but everybody generally gets along. There's not many people that are generally problems. Everybody likes each other, but everybody actually likes Allied. Allied is He's one of the good guys, man. He's just a fun dude. He likes to hang out and, well, not vape anymore. He's been nicotine free, right? Good for him. But, he just likes to hang out, and he's always laughing or making a joke, and he's a good guy. So I think a lot of people will be, nobody's going to be crying about not seeing Allied at LANs, but definitely someone you're going to miss. But at the end of the day, Allied's local to Atlanta, so maybe he still shows up. Who knows? Who knows? As I said, although getting into the venue, even on days he was supposed to play, was a little rough. So, if Allied goes into casting, that'd be fun. That'd definitely be fun. It's up to Allied. I don't, I don't know how successful or not successful or whatnot some of his projects are. So, if he wants to cast, I'm sure he'll be able to, If he wants to cast, I'm sure he'll be able to shout to somebody. So, we'll see how that one works out. Jeff Hindla also had good things to say about working, or rather playing, working and playing with Allied, or at least learning from him. Jeff Hindla says, quite simply, "You are legitimately the reason I know how to support and play the game." And I know, especially recently, with now he's back on Cloud9, or the team that... I know that some people are, Jeff's not the best support in the world, but he definitely was in that conversation at one point, if still not today. And he's definitely an accomplished player. So, for somebody like Jeff to really say that about a person is, that was like, damn. I think that's relatively valuable. So, Jeff, a lot of people only had nice things to say. And actually, I guess I should actually show you the actual tweet from Allied, because it was very Allied to me. I'm not going to be in competitive anymore. I resign/retire. Exclamation point, exclamation point. That's right. I'll make a vlog about it later. MLC still take my spot. That's awesome. It's just so Allied. And then, follow up from MLC Stealth. I love you, man. I hope everything works out. Bob Goley asks for a Paragon invite. But there was a lot of love for Allied here. He's definitely one of the good guys. So he is entertainer and analyst. Maybe he'll be an analyst for Envious. Allied did mention that he will stick around and be involved with Envy in some way, shape, or form. So, that was a good picture, Wolfie. So, rest in pepperonis. Allied has retired, but he'll still be around Smite for sure. And that'll be a good thing to look at. But as I said, there's many ripple effects of Allied retiring from the game. So, Allied retires, which means the mid spot on Envy opens up. The mid spot is immediately taken by MLC Wealth. Mr. Brett Felly. Felly? I still don't know how to pronounce that, honestly. I just call him Stealth or Brett. But Mr. MLC Stealth will be taking the spot of Allied when it comes to the mid lane. Oh, what a good dog. When it comes to the mid lane for Envy. So that will be interesting. I think he'll fit in as far as skill is concerned. Brett's statement on joining Envy is filled with a bunch of people who love Smite and who want to win at Smite. I'm excited to be on their team and I hope to help them. Very to the point, as is Mr. Stealth. And I think this team will be just as good, if not better. Frankly. Where'd you hear that, Blue Shamwat? Allied hasn't mentioned anything, at least to me. Maybe he's talking to somebody secretly in the background. but I would probably actually know that. So MLC Stealth winds up on Envy, and I think that Envy as a whole with MLC Stealth will actually be stronger, if you will. I wonder if I can do this. Can I do this? NA roster. Nope, I gotta actually. Hey, look at that. So, I actually think that Envy will be just as good, if not better, with MLC Stealth on the roster. And I think that just Allied is a great player. Allied is a strong player. But I think that, I don't think that he is the best player in the world. I don't think MLC Stealth is the best player in the world, but I think he's certainly far from the worst player in the world. When it comes to mid lane, MLC is definitely a strong contender. He's in the conversation, right? And in Season 3 with mid lane being so important, MLC is a mid laner. Allied is a multi-role player. He's played Hunter, support, and mid lane all professionally. I don't think I've ever really seen him in the jungle. I don't know about solo, but I know he's played a lot of role. MLC Stealth is just a mid player. So with MLC being so important, or with the mid lane being so important, MLC coming to Envy I think will be a good look for the squad. As I said, it'll be a lateral move, if not a better move. So expect Envy to be the same or better. But as I said, with MLC joining, that means that the roster that Jeff was thinking of is no longer there. Jeff was on a team, or Jeff had made a team called, well, they didn't have a name. It was Jeff Hindla. It was Madman Mark. That was the duo lane. Then you had Gars in the jungle, MLC Stealth in the mid lane, and then solo was Scary D. Well, MLC Stealth is on Envy, so there's no mid lane. And Jeff has rejoined Barracuda. Hooray! I wish I had a soundboard. I would just play people clapping. Because everybody, that's really what everybody wanted, right? They call themselves the sex tank, which is so weird to me. What time will Flex be on? The broadcast starts at 11, the broadcast starts at 1 p.m., and if Team Flex are still in the competition, they'll be, broadcasted then. So Jeff Hindley is back on Cloud9, which pushes Snoopy over to support. Barracuda put out a video a little bit talking about the roster changes or whatnot, and basically spelled out the roster for everybody and how it's all going to be worked out, and everybody essentially is happy. It all came from this tweet, though, which I think is so Barracuda. Comes out with this tweet that I absolutely love. What's an armored vehicle full of porn called? It's a sex tank. Right? What was Vicium's? He says his was better. Oh, he wrote it in binary. Well, it's not binary. I'm not that dumb, but he wrote it in something ridiculous. I don't know. But in any event, Barracuda tweeted out that little spoiler. And that's what got people initially interested. And then he had, as I said, he had something to really explain or say about how it was all well and done.
Back to my vlog. As you guys may have known or figured out by now, Baskin left the team to go team with Problem Solved. Basically what he said is this is possibly his last split. He might go team, or not go team. He might go to college after this, so he might not be able to play with us anyways afterwards. There's a slight possibility that might happen, but he really wants to play with his friends. His friends are really good, like Mayeki, Heroin, Homie, and Jigs, like all of his friends, like extremely strong players, and they're all really good. So I respect his decision to leave and go play with them.
So that's the story of Baskin, and Baskin definitely. I mean, it's the same story that Andy did, right? Like Andy wanted to play with his friend Boosh, and so that's what they're doing. Baskin's doing the same thing, and you know, talking about the world after Smite is definitely what struck me. Baskin might just not play anymore, you know? Might just focus on college and stuff. You know, a lot of our players are 17, 18, 19 years old, and, you know, that's, I mean, personally, I feel like when you have an opportunity like this, go for it. You can always go back to school. Full disclosure, I'm 27 without a degree because I made a decision at 18 to chase the experience and not the degree. I was in a rock band and we were assigned to a label, and instead of going to school, I did music. But so I'm a little biased in that regard. But a lot of our players are 17, 18, 19, and we might be seeing a little bit more of this. I mean, Meerkat is around that age as well, and he doesn't have a team anymore. And Meerkat recently tweeted, you know, hey, I don't know. Meerkat's not happy because Baskin joining, what's it called? Baskin joining Problem Solved means that Meerkat's out of a job. And actually, I actually really like this tweet that Meerkat put out. Problem acquired. Meerkat. He no longer has a squad to call home, which is unfortunate. And he just doesn't seem too happy about it. If anyone cares, I'm benched, and as of now, I really don't know what to do. More fun stuff. There's more changes to come on NA teams. It never ends. Maybe I'll finally quit. Who knows? Competitive Smite is quite the roller coaster, and I'm not really sure I want to keep riding it. So Meerkat doesn't exactly seem too happy, which I'm actually really upset about. Meerkat is yes, I was in a band. I'll play some later. I'll play some later. But so the rock band was called Robbers. But I'm actually really upset for Meerkat. Because what up, Pitarello? Do I know you? But for real, Meerkat upsets me. Not him, but Meerkat's situation. Because Meerkat is a player that kind of got shit on. And he got better. And I've seen him improve. Like, did he turn into Omega in a single split? Of course not. That's not how people get better. But he didn't stagnate. I saw him getting better. I liked what I saw. And I thought that this Problem Solve team was a step up. Meerkat has always been on these cognitive gamings, these sort of bottom of the pack with bottom of the pack people teams. And I feel like Meerkat being around somebody with the knowledge base of Jigs, and I really liked the roster. I didn't think that they were going to be number one in North America, but I definitely thought they had a lot of potential, and I thought that it was really right for Meerkat to be a part of that squad. And I mean, Meerkat even tweets out, also, Problem Solved is currently far and away the best team in NA if scrims are any indicator. So they've obviously been fucking crushing it in scrims. I thought this was the team that might have brought Meerkat to the next level. We've seen players, you know, not everybody shows up and is like, "What's up, guys? I'm Anded, sir. I'm ready to fight." Some people need to get up to everything. So, when Meerkat was with DJ and Aurora, I really liked that squad as well. When I said cognitive gaming, I was thinking of the cog before DJ Pernicus and Aurora. Full disclosure. I wasn't thrilled with that roster. And I liked Meerkat on the roster of DJ Pernicus and Aurora. I think DJ's one of the better leaders out there. It's just a matter of if you like DJ's style of leadership. But I thought that was, a good first step. And it didn't seem like Meerkat was as a part of that team as the core. Like, it was very obvious that DJ Aurora and Best were the unit, and then, you know, they kind of like added Meerkat on. He was from the old team. He's not bad. But I like this roster for Meerkat better. So it's I liked that situation. But unfortunately, Meerkat has to find a team. He's no longer on a team, as he is benched. Klaus sent him a DM. I hope we don't see Meerkat and Clow hang out. But for real, I wish Meerkat the best of luck, and we'll see how and where that goes. And with the other changes, Barracuda, Jeff, Boosh, Andy, and Snoopy. Snoopy winds up in the solo lane, which I think is a good thing. Jeff back on the team. Jeff brings a very important part to that no longer Cloud9 roster. So we'll see how that works out as far as Snoopy in the solo lane. Snoopy is the original, well, maybe not the original, but Snoopy in my mind is the original multi-role player outside of Allied, I guess. Allied was called the original multi-role player. But Snoopy has played multiple roles for Denial in the past, and support was never his strong suit, plainly speaking. So maybe things changed, who knows? But what Jeff brings to a team is so important. And you know, if you look at, there's no way I'm going to be able to find it. But if you look at how Barracuda looks in this video, roster changes, right? Here's two videos.
Hey guys,
Here's two videos back to back from Barracuda. Here is Barracuda talking about the roster changes initially. Getting rid of, or rather, Andy doing his thing, and MLC and Jeff being dropped from the team, specifically Jeff being dropped from the team. No audio, just this is what he looks like. And then here he is yesterday talking about Jeff joining the team. I mean, he just looks happier. Like, he just looks like a happier guy. And I think that's really the core of what Jeff Hindler really brings to a team is I don't want to call him a cheerleader because that almost sounds offensive, but Jeff really brings an atmosphere of, I mean, he's the leader. He's the leader. There's more to leading than calling the shots. And when you're down 7K, that's a winnable game at a professional level. And you need someone to sit there that has that confidence, that has that mentality, that has that positivity. And Jeff Hindler is a Long Island ska kid. You couldn't take the positivity out of him if you tried. So I'm not saying that that's all you need to be a good player. I'm not saying that everything needs to be sunshine and lollipops or else you don't win. Not what I'm saying. But it's very important. But it is very important for a player to sort of have that attitude. This is the band, actually. So I think that's very important for any team, but specifically Cloud9 or what they call themselves now. I don't know. Especially when you take into account how close Barracuda and Jeff are. I mean, these guys are friends to the point where, you know, they will, I don't know about, you know, using the phone or whatnot, but they will hang out and they will talk to each other for hours on end about, you know, anything. They're close people. They're more than just teammates, and there's definitely a lot of love and a lot there. So I'm very happy that these guys have found each other again, and they're going to be back together. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm very excited for Barracuda to come back, or rather Jeff Hindler to come back. But that leaves Gars without a team. That leaves Madman Mark without a team. That leaves Scary D. I'm not going to pretend to give a shit about Scary D. But Madman Mark doesn't have a team. He's a good player. He can certainly find a team. But Gars doesn't have a team. And Gars, from what it sounded like, Gars really wanted to play. A lot of people were talking about, Gars and Rocket League and blah, 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 and this, that, and third. But Gars needs a team, man. Madman Mark is a capable player. There was some conversation about him having an attitude. I don't know anything about that. But he's a capable player. Scary D is a jerk. I don't care about him. But those two players are capable. Polar Bear Mike is out there. I saw him in chat. I don't know how much Polar Bear Mike wants to play or has. I don't know what you're focusing on, Mike, but I would love to see Mike play. I think Mike and Meerkat are very similar players in the sense that they have what it takes to really start to become something great. And I saw Penumbra, not for nothing. My man Penny out here, and I feel like I've said full disclosure multiple times today because I have. But Penny is a friend of mine. I definitely support him a little bit. But I did notice yesterday that Penny immediately started sending out tweets, yo DMs, yo DMs, yo DMs to people that seemed like they did not have a team. So Penumbra looking for teams or whatnot, and that's always interesting. He deleted all the tweets that said DMs, otherwise I was going to blow up his spot. But so who knows? Maybe there's another team that has yet to be made. We'll see how it works out. Like I said, Can we make a team? Can we make a team right now? Let's see. Let's see if we can make a team. Wow, this piece of paper literally just says Durgius. I have no idea where my notes were going with this, but it just says Durgius. So let's see. We've got Polar Bear Mike in support and Madman Mark in the hunter role, right? In the mid lane, who knows? But we have Gars in the jungle, right? Solo lane. So we need a mid laner and a solo laner. Who is out there in the North American world? I don't know. I don't know who else is out there. I really hope Meerkat in the solo. That's exactly like duh. So all you need is a mid laner. All you need is a mid laner. Look at that. Look at that. PBM, Madman Mark, Gars, Meerkat. All you need is a mid laner. That's all you need. Look at that. You can have Aduro's out there. Aduro's out there. Dude, you pick up the Aduro and his wonderful hair. Fantastic. Here's what you do. You pick up Bickham as a coach. Madman Mark, Polar Bear Mike in the long lane. Gars in the jungle. Aduro mid. Meerkat in the solo lane. You switch Bickham and Meerkat out. Boom! Boom! Look at that. I made your fucking team. Look at that. Polar Bear Mike is in support. Right? And then you got Madman Mark in the hunter role. And then you've got Gars in the jungle. You've got Aduro in the mid. And then in the solo, you've got Meerkat. And then you call up Bickham if you can't find a team. And he can coach you. There you go. Free of charge. There is your roster, PBM. Go do it. I want to see you in the Challenger Cup, please. And thank you. You know what? Bring Tolly on as a coach as well. You can have a whole fucking team of solo laners. So, you've got a whole bunch of people. Ependary, Bickham's the man. Bickham is one of the players that I have been most happy with meeting recently. Bickham knows how to party. But that's all North America. North America's been pretty messy. Going over to Europe, we'll shift gears a little bit. Going over to Europe, they actually had a little bit of roster changes as well recently. We saw some changes on the European side of things. So we will have some Q&As a little bit later. But since I'm exiting the roster talks, F-Swag, in your opinion, who would be a better solo, Meerkat or Snoopy? I don't know how good Snoopy is at solo. I haven't seen him play solo in a long time. Snoopy is good. But we'll see. Get Fisher, I can't make you a team. You have to rename yourself to Jungler, like Fails did. So if you guys didn't catch the action from Relegations yesterday, first of all, what's wrong with you? Second of all, Badger's team, they played with the jungler. His name is Fails. He changed his name to Jungler. I'm really happy I didn't have to cast that. Fuck that. I didn't have to call the jungler and jungler going to get like I did not want to. Although there have been worse names before. I just refuse to say it. So, shouts to my man Gustavi. He's an Xbox player. He's from Brooklyn. Shouts to New York. But his name used to be Wiggles the Bay. I want to shoot myself every time I mention his name. So. I saw dumbasses on Twitter complaining about commentators calling Fails Jungler. That's literally his name in game. And Meerkat8856 has literally joined the party. That is a longtime friend and supporter. I really appreciate the love, Meerkat. Unfortunately, that is not the solo laner Meerkat that we were talking about for like a half hour. Callas. Yes, Hazer. First of all, great play yesterday. Second of all, we fixed that. We totally fixed that. Game number 1, we pronounced the name as it looked like. And somebody mentioned to me on Twitter that it was not correct. And so we changed that up in the semifinals. We called him Callas. So we did change that. But so we'll take a look on everything from North America, and we'll put that in the book. Europe, though, also had a bunch of changes. So if you were paying attention, or if you've seen a first period in the past couple of weeks, you know that Dignitas had some spots, and Dignitas actually was a team that had holes. And for some reason, nobody wanted to join this squad, which is actually curious to me. Because if you take a look at Team Dignitas, there were definitely some issues with this team, shall you say. And none of them had to do with Shadow Nightmare. Few of them had to do with Rens. And I guess Frostiak was a little questionable. But Variety, and I know all my EU friends like to get on my case, or hi-rez's case, or the commentators' cases in general, about the treatment of Variety. But if we are brutally honest, Variety for a long time was not a strong part of this team. And despite the fact that he got a lot better, and I say that meaningfully, I'm not just trying to say, oh no, I do think he got better, but he still sucks. Variety put in work. I don't know if he practiced extra hard. I don't know what happened. And, at the risk of sounding like Stephen A. Smith, I like Harry Cumming. I really do. But he just... This can't be your number one god in season 2. You played him 8 times. You won twice. 2 times. This can't, it's not working. It's not working. You can't play this can't be the case for season 2. And just can't. Like, what is this? This can't, like, yeah, all right, you killed it. Good job. But, like, this you killed it against Mirrodins and the Cringe crew. Calm down. But, like, this can't be the case for season 2, unfortunately. I will say, I loved his Uller play. I am a fan of creativity in the solo lane, but it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working. So Variety leaves, and Frezzy leaves. So both of them go ahead and they leave the team. Zapman shows up when I talk about Uller. So they leave the team, and there's 2 holes. Basically, Variety goes and joins Hunger for Losses, and Frezzy is like, I don't even know if I'm going to play Smite anymore. I'm whatever. I'm feeling blue, and that's his case. So there's 2 holes. There's the support role and there's the solo role. Well, if you're familiar with Dark Dodo is the player from... Dark Dodo played for Myrmidons, if I'm not mistaken. He's got a weird name. What is it? Dark with a 4 or something. Am I going to be able to find him over here? I doubt it. But Dark Dodo... Oh, here he is. Look at that. The Dark Dodo. Played in SPL Season 2 Fall Split. Yes, I believe he played for the Myrmidons. Yes, he did. And, well, this is what his success rate looked like. I apologize to Harry Cumming because this is his replacement. I mean, to be totally fair, he was on the Myrmidons. And these are games against the best teams in the world, literally the world champions, right? So I can't talk too much about, I can't rash him too much for that. Dark Dodo has been spoken about positively, so, we'll see how this works out. You're replacing just off the bat, I don't think Variety is the worst player in the world, and jokes aside, I do think that he was not a valuable part of the Team Dignitas, but I think he had a potential. Dark Dodo will definitely, looking at these numbers, have to step it up if he wants to, be that replacement for my man Variety. So we'll see. We'll see how Dark Dodo works out. But people are asking, where is Sayo? But really the question is, do you know who else is coming back to the SPL? Ladies and gentlemen, it's your very own Daniel Craig impersonator, Suntouch. Suntouch is coming back. He is, again, a part of Professional Smite. It's been a long time now. It's definitely been a long time, but he is certainly back, and we will see how long he really stays around. That's always my question when it comes to Suntouch, is questioning his commitment sounds so offensive, and I don't mean it to be offensive. But so I'm not going to use the word commitment, but his stick-to-itiveness is definitely a concern for me if I am making a squad, because Suntouch has joined and quit and joined and quit and joined and quit so many times. And I was actually really upset that Dark Dodo joined this team. I'm definitely really upset that Dark Dodo joined the squad for one reason and one reason only, is that my Suntouch bingo is not complete. Suntouch still needs to play solo professionally for me to complete my Suntouch bingo. If I fill this out completely, I think I get to go to England and, I don't know, hang out with Suntouch. I want to complete my Suntouch bingo. So maybe we kick off Dark Dodo. We put Suntouch in the solo lane. Suntouch cannot play solo. Well, I mean, he played solo for SK. That's true. You know what? That's true. Free space. Solo is free. Solo is free. If Variety can play solo, it's got to be free, right? Boom! Look at that. Sun Touch bingo. Do I get flown out? Do I get flown out to Europe to be his Twitter girl for a month? Is that how that works? No, I'm joking. But it's actually really cool that Sun Touch is back in the scene because he is still one of the biggest, European streamers, believe it or not. Still one of the biggest European streamers. He's out there streaming all the time. And for all of the nonsense that EU talks about NA bias and all of the nonsense that EU talks about the NA streamers. Oh, I'm not following Sun Touch. What a shame. I'll give him a follow. He doesn't follow me either. Fuck him. No, I'll give him a follow. I'll give him a follow. For all the nonsense that people talk about NA being biased as far as like streamers or whatnot, especially when Smite Game comes back into play and this, that, and the third, there just aren't that many European streamers, dude. There's just not. Like, you've got Adapting, who crushes it. You've got Sun Touch, who's not even a pro player and crushes it. And that's really it, man. And there are going to be tons of EU people in my chat yelling at me as to who I'm missing. And to be completely fair, there are certainly some people I'm missing. Dazer is streaming right now for 200 people. But the reality of it is, Proxy QQ streaming for 8 people. So, you know, they're trying. But I mean, what it comes down to is, you take a look at the North American streams. And I'm not saying every stream has to be the same. I'm not saying every stream has to be the same. But look who kills it. Zapman, routinely over 1,000. Lazes, routinely over 1,000. I'm going to take DM Brandon out because he is much larger than everyone else, and he's not a pro player. So I'm just focusing on players here. But Lazes, Zapman, Incon, Weekend, these players are routinely over 1,000 viewers, routinely. And what's a big part? They've got a face cam, which I think is very important. Not everybody does, but I think it's very important. They've got decent quality, which is decently important, but not the most. They interact with their chat. Adapting is great. He interacts with his chat in between queues. He plays different games. I would still like to see a face cam, and I actually do think that impacts the stream a lot, believe it or not. And I could see, like, I completely agree with that, Zap, man. I think the lack of having a camera on your face hurts EU the most. I think it really, really does. I have a hard time watching a streamer without a camera on. And that's not just me being thirsty trying to find all the girls on stream. I sometimes have trouble staying in Adapting's chat. I will keep the window open because I like to support everybody that streams. And I want to be that one number. But I do have a hard time sometimes watching a stream that doesn't have a face cam. So, I mean, it's just, I think that hurts European streams a decent amount. And it's also, I mean, I've spoken to a couple of players, and I'm not going to use any names. But I've spoken to one high-profile player that had streamed in the past, has the setup to stream, has the internet to stream. Because, to be fair, I don't want to paint all Europeans with this brush that, like, you know, they say screw this, screw that. But some players just can't stream. Dimmy, for example. Dimmy, I think, would be one of the best Smite streamers in the world, let alone just Europe. Especially with a face cam, the guy's cute. But he doesn't have the internet to physically stream. And that is a problem throughout Europe, as I've heard. I don't know. But that could be a problem, right? So it's one of those things where the level of streaming is not there in comparison from NA to EU. The biggest Smite streamers are very easily Allied, Zapman, Laz's, Weekend, Incon, and guess where they're from? NA, PS Sun Touches from Europe. So in that regard, I am super, super happy. Super happy that Sun Touch is back doing it on a professional level, because there is something to be said about promotion and streaming, and it's just exciting to me that a big name, and relatively big name, I'm excited that a big name is coming back to the SPL. So I think that is a very good look for Sun Touch, and I'm excited. And at the end of the day, I think it's fun to have Sun Touch in the scene. I think it's fun to have Matty Pocket in the scene. Are they the best players in the world? No, far from it. But are they good enough to be in the SPL? Yes. Are they exciting players? Yes. Are they names that you can expect to see on a daily basis in your Twitch directory? Yes. I like that. I think that's important. There's so much more to the game than the game. In fact, they call that a meta. Everybody uses the word meta incorrectly. But, so. Fisher. Fisher, if you think you can do better, why don't you move here? Get Fisher. If you can play on a North American SPL team, you can live with me. How about that? I heard IRAF won Worlds, but I think it was the mid laner that did all the heavy lifting. Yaman mentioned earlier that he was here for romance. I love you, Yaman. Thanks, Bill Sinker. Or Bill Iskner. Whoa. DJ. I did not offer you a spot. I offered Get Fisher a spot. DJ, if you move in, then I'm the ugly one. If me and DJ go out together, then I'm always the runner-up. I don't know if I like that situation. So, Q&A. Fuck it. Q&A. Let me check my show notes. Are we done with everything? NA team changes. EU team changes. NBA All-Star Weekend. Relegations. Allies retirement. And Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day, ladies and gentlemen. If you have someone special in your life, please go find them and tell them that I am a better choice and they should date me instead of you. How about that? So, I think that is, Get Fisher, yes. That's what I'm saying. If DJ moves in, then I'm the ugly one. If you move in, no, I haven't, Sir Duckbot. Link me. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know why Hunger for More. I don't know why Hunger for More didn't play. It actually really did. I was very surprised as to that Hunger for More didn't play. They said that they will be playing in the Challenger Cup or the SPL. So basically what it sounds like is Ataraxia wants to give the team a little bit more practice or whatnot. Some time in the incubator, if you will. So we'll see how that is. But anyway, Zapman, shouts to you. Thank you so much for the love. And now I think is a good time as any to transition into EU. I always want to transition out of EU. But transition into the Q&A. You guys have full chat. Oh, and so if you want, we can test this out. Twitter.com/firstperiodshow. It is brand new. We're going to try and make this a thing. If you have any questions, tweet them at First Period Show. Of course, just put them in the fucking chat as well. But, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'll be tweeting more about First Period and stuff like that. And as I said, keep an eye out. I have a lot of new stuff in the incubator. But anyway, Q&A. We've gone through a lot of stuff today. I saw a couple of questions and comments in the chat. If you guys have any questions you want me to talk on, now is the time. Just Jack, the mid laner and captain of Epiphany Squad, goes ahead and asks, how do I pronounce Callus? Well, if anybody looks at that, it looks like Kayla S. I thought your support player was a woman named Kayla S. So I pronounced it Kayla S. But incorrect. I fixed it to Callus. And we are there. Where's the golden sticker of my cap? So, you probably mean the... So, I mean, it's not a flat, like, this is just an on-field cap. Not a flat brim. I generally don't keep the sticker on my hat, but I used to. I think I could find one of my very first Facebook pictures. I had a Zoo York flat brim on. I can't find it, but I definitely was that guy once upon a time. So there's that. You were the first follower. Thank you, Melody. Appreciate that. Which SPL teams still have spots? If we take a look over at esports.smitegame.com, very quickly, Envy still has their spot. Eager no longer has a spot. I'll touch that in a second. Cloud9, technically, Barracuda has this spot, despite not being affiliated with Cloud9 anymore. TSM doesn't have a spot. Enemy obviously has a spot. Cognitive has a spot, but they have signed with a fantastic young org owner named Zapman, which means they're eager now. Denial has a spot, and Elevate are going to get shit on in relegations. So they technically have a spot, but I mean, they have a spot the way an ice cube has a spot on the counter. It's going to melt and disappear. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Who's the strongest NA team going into the split? I think you're a fool to count Enemy out. I think Envy with MLC Stealth is a force to be reckoned with. Realistically, I think Problem Solved is going to be a problem for a lot of people. Open Ladder will be streamed just like yesterday. Yesterday was the European episode of Week 1. Badge's team, the Leftovers, or Nika's team if you're a fan of the Combine. Leftovers won. They took home the finals in 2 games to none. Today will be North America, and we'll start the broadcast at 1 p.m. Thoughts on the newly released subreddit Smite Pro? I don't know anything about it, so why don't we go visit, shall we? Reddit.com Smite Pro. Oh, look at this. I like the look. It's very cute. Ooh, I like this. Where does this take me? Esportspedia. Okay. Obviously, being a hi-rez man, I would like it to go to esports.smitegame.com. By the way, Gustavi, this is the Xbox team. This is the Xbox team. You guys already fucking fail. You got Crazy Outlaw listed as Paul. You got Wiggles the Bay listed as Gustavi. No, I'm just kidding. But for real, this is the Xbox team. Freya, Gustavi, Paul, Shing, Soup's Kitchen. Gustavi, I'm just putting this out. I'm just putting this out there. Another player from New York. Gustavi's from Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. He's another New York guy. There's something in the water. There's just something in the water. So, I closed that out of disgust. But I will, where is it? Here, I'll even show you. Subscribe. Look, I'll even put it on the top. Look at that. Smite Pro. Sports, esports, Smite, and NBA and Smite Pro. I actually recently wiped my C drive, so I used to have a lot more up there, but not the case any longer. But so, sweet. I'm excited. Optics is banned? I have no idea. Why is the growth of Smite so slow and struggles to get the high viewers? I don't think the growth of Smite is slow. I mean, this is the second year, really, right? Well, we're going into season 3, but we'll be going into our second year of Pro Smite, right? League didn't look like Hollywood every step of the way. I think there's a definite growth there. We got 5,000 viewers, and that wasn't the peak. That was just at random some point during yesterday's broadcast. I noticed that we had 5,000 viewers for phase 1 of preseason relegations. That's cool. I'm not saying we're going to have 100,000 people for a regular season game, but that's cool. I like that. How long is that? Is that how far away? So my show ends at 10 o'clock. Right now it's 9:44. So at the end of this show, there will be 3 hours until the NA relegations go live. What team should you look out for today? What do you mean, can I read? Oh, it's because they don't have a PC roster. Okay, you know what, Aura? Shut up. Teams to look out for today, definitely Team Flex. That's going to be Laz's, Matty Pocket, Dare to Care, who's definitely a player to watch, Oceans, and Incontinentia, otherwise known as Incon. You also want to look out for Problem Solve. That's Baskin's new team. He replaced Meerkat, unfortunately. And you'll see him alongside Jigs and a couple of other familiar names for sure. So definitely want to watch out for how that works out. Do I think moving Snoopy out of the solo lane was the best idea or moving Snoopy to the solo lane was the best idea for the team? Out of all the top tier solo laners, do you think he'll be able to compete against them? I think moving Snoopy away from the support role to include Jeff Hindla with Barracuda, and I mention that because there are many relevant variables to that topic. Teams aren't just. Let me answer the question. I think that was the correct choice. Do I think that Snoopy will be able to compete against them? I think that Snoopy will be able to play at a high level. Snoopy has always been the original. Well, if Allied was the original multi-role player, Snoopy was the original multi-role player when I started getting involved with Smite. And he was, so, little trip down memory lane. Denial, once upon a time, wasn't the brothers Grabowski. Once upon a time, Denial wasn't defined by their haircuts. They were defined by their inability to win. But that team, was, funnily enough, Mace to the face in the mid lane. But it was Pain de Viand on Hunter, Jeff Hindla on support. Solo lane was a Canadian named Rushed. The jungle was Pon, the community manager for Smite. And Jeff Hindla's support role. And so, and Snoopy was the sub for that team. And Snoopy wound up playing all the positions whenever somebody was sick or needed to do something or whatever. Snoopy was the multi-role player. So, can he play support as well as Omega? Probably not. Can he tread water against the big boys? I assume so. Snoopy is a player that you can put him in any position, and I will assume that he is SPL ready. And I can't say that about every single person. I can't and I won't say that about every single player in the SPL. But if you give me Snoopy, I will assume that he can play most roles, if not all roles, at a competitive level. So, do I think that moving Snoopy to the solo lane was the correct choice? In a vacuum, Snoopy in the solo lane is probably not my number one choice. But do I move Snoopy into the solo lane if it means opening up a spot for Jeff Hindla as a support? Most likely. But expanding that conversation one more time, do I move Snoopy to support if it means Jeff Hindla? Do I move Snoopy to solo if it means Jeff Hindla playing support alongside Barracuda in the long lane? Abso-fucking-lutely. And that really has to say that's a lesson in team building. And I mean, we've got an org owner and a team captain here, Zapman, in chat. DJ Pernicus is one of the better leaders in the league. He's been here in chat. You've got iRaffer, the Moneyball man himself, here in chat. Ask any of these leaders. Making a successful team is a lot more than just, this guy's good, this guy's good, this guy's good, let me put them together. If you get all perfect 10s as far as mechanical skill and prowess, you're obviously not going to fucking lose. But you need that chemistry. You need that mentality. You need that everybody doesn't have to be sunshine and lollipops and love each other and want to marry each other. But having that stability on the team, having that sort of team togetherness is very important. So again, it's much more than just Snoopy playing solo for this squad. It's Snoopy playing solo to open the window to allow other players onto the team. So in that big picture status, yes, I do think moving Snoopy to the solo was the correct choice. Am I a Knicks fan? Yes, I am a Knicks. Well, I am a Knicks fan, being as I'm from New York. There's a Carmelo Anthony jersey right behind me. But I actually enjoy basketball the way I enjoy most of my sports. Fandom is fun. Fandom is cool. And it's always fun to really support a hometown team, which is one thing that I think traditional sports have up on esports. Is it's fun to be like, I'm from New York, so let's go New York. But I actually watch most sports as a spectator. I like to sit back and watch. I like to sit back and watch. What's it called? As an unbiased source, which is what I do at Smite. I mean, I have to. I'm a commentator. I like watching sports unbiased. So, am I a Knicks fan? Sure. Do I think Aaron Gordon got robbed in the dunk contest? Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know. Dunk contest is an exhibition. I don't really care who wins. It's all just fun to watch. Do I think that after keeping that, they'll dump Jeff again? No. I don't think that it's a reality that Jeff goes. Basically, the story in the sand, as people have said it in multiple videos and multiple times, is that Anidster wanted to switch the team many, many moons ago because he wanted to play with people that he was closer to, i.e. Boosh and Snoopy. And I bet you $1 zillion if Nulissa lived in North America, she'd be on this team as well. And he just wants to play with his friends, which goes to what I was talking about earlier about Snoopy moving to the solo lane. Playing with your friends and being on that mindset is important. So I think that was why Andy made those moves initially. And for what it's worth, they were pushed back a little bit. Barrow always wanted to play with Jeff. I showed you side by side Barrow's face. He's much happier. I think that Jeff and MLC were removed from the team out of necessity to create a hole for the players that Andy wanted to play with. There wasn't any bad blood. There wasn't any, this player is better. There wasn't a desire to move away from those two players. There was a desire to move closer to two other players. So with that in mind, I don't think that Jeff needs to be concerned at all. At all. Do I think that after keeping that? No, I don't think so. Sun Touch support, thoughts? I mean, he's played support before. Oh, well, I didn't mute that mic. Sorry, guys. But Sun Touch has played support before. It's actually Sun Touch's best position, if you ask me. I have historically been harsh on Sun Touch in the jungle. I think the last time I really spoke about Sun Touch on First Period, I wasn't really a fan of his work in the jungle. I don't think he's the strongest mid player or whatnot, at least at a competitive level. But I think that Sun Touch is I think he's a good support player. I think he's SPL level when it comes to support, and I think this is a good decision for him. I have not considered a Grabowski cut. I don't think I have considered. Do I think Matty Pocket will be able to solo? Now, that's a bigger question. I did notice he tweeted the other day that he kind of got booty spanked out in scrims. But here's the thing with Matty Pocket. I don't think that Matty Pocket is going to be the best solo later in the world. I don't think that Matty Pocket is going to be the number one player in the world. I don't think he's going to have a good time in the beginning of the season. But Matty Pocket is a grinder, and Matty Pocket is a worker. And I think that I don't really see Matty Pocket ever being comfortable with being bad, so I don't think he'll ever be bad. Will he be able to solo? Yes. Will he be the best? No. Will he work to keep himself off of the bottom? Yes. And that I think is very important. At the end of the day, you could also just pull a Bickham and just play Sobek all day. But I do think Matty Pocket will be able to. If the question is, do I think Matty Pocket will be able to solo? My answer is absolutely. Where the fuck can you listen to Life Apollo? I don't know, man. Kanye's release of this record has been so haphazard. I saw a link on Reddit. I don't know. Yeah, sure. I'll show you some of Robert's music before we go. Is Team Flex playing today? Yes, they are. Or, well, Team Flex should be playing today. Maybe they won't. Who knows? There's 2 weeks of this open bracket tournament. Maybe somebody's busy. Maybe they're not playing. I have no idea. What chance would I give for Team Flex in the SPL? I think they're a competent team. What is this North American check-in stuff on TeamSpeak? So if you want to play in the open bracket tournament, which you are more than welcome to, essentially you can just go ahead and sign up. There's nothing you are checking in right now. Check-ins start at the end of this broadcast. You download TeamSpeak 3, you go into this address, and you say, hey, I've got 5 people that want to play in your tournament. And then they sign you up, they put you on a bracket, and you play. That's it. We pick up the broadcast at around 1 p.m. So wherever we are in the tournament, most likely the round of 16, we will address that. Excuse me. And go back to, I get the hiccups all of a sudden. And we'll see that, just like we did on the European side of things yesterday. So, should be fun. You don't think MLC fits the personality of Envy? We'll see. We'll see. MLC is a nice guy, but I will say this, Scott Jive. MLC is more of a real person than he seems. MLC does seem like that almost unattainable, super nice guy. But in reality, it's a much more balanced, for sure. ZZ Doomslice says, I booty smacked Maddie in solo and ranked the other day and I main support. Ranked is a much different beast than what's it called? Competitive. So we'll see if that translates or whatnot. Solo is so important this season, but it's not as important as mid, so we'll see. Any news about Team Instinct, who became Torpedo Gaming with Game Hunter, Carino, Ninja Bobak, Moex, and Murder? News, I don't know what kind of news. The latest news with that team is that Murder, otherwise known as Connie Life, has joined the squad. This is one of the better teams in Europe. Flat out. I am still concerned about Game Hunter, but here's the deal. Game Hunter, for those of you that didn't follow Smite back in the day, Game Hunter was one of the best players. He really just kind of played Ra and Vamana and shit on people in the solo lane. He quit. He was on Team Solo Mid, which was the Paradigm Squad. Think Zimstar, Kivo, Fred, Lobster, and that crew. He did very well. He quit. He came back, and he wasn't good. But he wasn't good because he didn't really fit the meta. He just played Game Hunter. He played Ra and Vamana in a world where that didn't work. So he goes down and he starts playing with this team and he learns the meta. And now season 3, guess what 2 gods are back? Ra and Vamana. Vamana is one of the best gods in solo at the moment. So my previous concerns about Game Hunter that were proved correct, I think will be proven incorrect this time around. I think Game Hunter will be fine. Carino, Bobat, Moex, Kanye Life. This is a scary team. So there's not necessarily news, but if you want my take on them, I think they're going to be one of the better teams in Europe. Do I agree with the idea that support is easier than the other roles? Absolutely not. Trees on Twitch. It's always odd to compare the roles as far as what's hard and easy. A lot of times you can number the roles as far as importance, but I don't think it's fair to really compare the what's it called, the role difficulties. Support, the gods in general, I guess, are easier to hit because of the way their abilities. Taunt is a big cone, Freeze is a big cone, Shockwave's a big cone. Yawn is a big cut, but I don't think that it's an actual easier position. I did say School of Magic yesterday, referencing physical and magical. I don't know if that's a big deal. Real quick, Baskin took Meerkat's spot on Jiggs' team, which brought Jeff Hindla back to the Cloud9 roster with Barracuda, and then mid lane Allied retired, so MLC Stealth will be taking his spot. What do I write on my notepad when I'm casting? So I go in with stuff already written on the notepad. Usually, especially for open bracket tournaments like today, tomorrow, and next week, I will write the rosters down. And even on teams that I know, I'll write the rosters down and jot some stats. So if it's Envy versus Cloud9, I'm going to write, Barracuda Jeff, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to write Allied, Omega, blah, 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 blah. And I'll write, Omega's favorite god is Hebo, and his KDA on Bologna is 17. And, Cyclone Spin has been playing Hunter for only 6 weeks and stuff like that. And then I will take notes during the match itself, like 12-minute Gold Fury, what the fuck? Or I will write down not every kill or transaction, but the important ones. So like 14 kill in solo, Arrow, Gold Fury. Because that kill in solo allowed the Gold Fury to be taken because there was too many people on the right side of the map, et cetera, et cetera. So what that allows me to do is it allows me at the end of the game to really look and go, all right, these were the major points in the game, and that's why the game was won. Maybe not correct, maybe not all of the details, but just a quick overview. And then going into the game, as I said, I like to have a couple of stats for everybody, where they're from, how long they've played the game, or at least their role. Any notes that I want to bring up, like I'll definitely be writing, Envy's first game. MLC is going to have a big star next to him because I want to talk about MLC being the new on the team and stuff like that. And I will actually I will actually write words that I don't want to say. And then there's like the non-stat side of things. Like, for example, I said awesome too much last split. So I would actually write the word awesome down with an X through it. So I know not to say awesome. So there's a lot that goes on in my notes, honestly. MLC is BM in real life? Not at all. Moex did. This is one of the oldest memes in Smite. Vamana is back. Oh, wow. I'm scrolled up. But yes, Vamana is back. Vamana is super good. He's just unkillable. Will I come with you under the next full moon and rub your nipples as they are more crispy when the rabbit is out of the tree? What do I think of Allied becoming an analyst commentator for hi-rez? Allied hasn't said anything. hi-rez hasn't said anything. Like, hi-rez isn't a charity, It's not like, all right, well, this guy retired, let's give him a job. That's not how that works. I mean, Matt, if Allied starts that conversation, who knows where it lands? But I think that's up to Allied to really have that conversation. I never said in spades too much. That was a Bartism. As is Barn Burner. And as is... I have no transition, but I'm out. That's the end of first period. Just to cover a little bit of what we talked about today. We talked about Allied retiring, taking a step back from Smite, and seeing what else he can do. I sent a message out to him. He didn't respond. I haven't heard any plans. I don't know if he's going to retire and unretire like Jay-Z, try to find another team. I don't know if he's going to cast. He hasn't said anything to hi-rez or anything about that, so I don't know what Allied's plans are, whether they're stream-focused or otherwise. Relegations began today, or yesterday rather. Yesterday was Europe's first shot at Phase 1 of the relegations. So real quick, the way relegations work is you've got 2 weeks of open bracket, and that will give you 2 winners per region. And those 2 winners will face against the 2 Challenger Cup winners. And then whoever wins out of that contest will go on to play against the SPL teams, and whoever wins there gets an SPL spot. So these contests are very important. Tune in today at 1 p.m. to check out the North American stuff. You want to see Lazes and Incon and Baskin and Jigs and Hurwind. You want to see all these players, right? Show up today. 1 p.m. Twitch.tv/Smite Game. Definitely something you want to look at. North American team changes. Allied retires. MLC takes a spot on Envy. Jeff Hindler rejoins Barracuda, which shoves Snoopy into the solo lane. Gars has no team, free agent. And yes, I did promise you guys that I would show you some music. Where are we? Here we are. I think this is it. Yes, this is it. I was on this record. I wasn't a part of these other records. This is the one I was on. This is loud. I don't know why this is so loud. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. I will catch you guys next Sunday, 8 a.m., if not this afternoon at 1 p.m., and I'll be streaming during the week. But thank you for watching First Period, and I will catch you next Sunday, if not later today. Peace, and much love to you.
To think about what you have done, yeah. Take the